I always think when I'm talking to young people nowadays that I suppose they're very much more prudent or very much more fearful of commitment than we were in those days. And perhaps we were rash, I don't know, but in those days, if you loved somebody, you immediately thought you were going to get married and that was it for life as far as I was concerned. But nowadays, young people go through agony of discernment. Will I, won't I, is it God's will, or is it not God's will? And it can go on for years. But I'm afraid to say, all my big decisions in life, I said a prayer, but I wasn't going to take years to decide. It's like when we adopted the children, it wasn't a decision that took me ages to make my mind up. I just think this is from God. In fact, I really had decided that I would marry Callum. Within about 2 or 3 days of meeting him, I decided he was the man I was going to marry. It took him a bit longer than me, but I certainly had made up my mind to the extent that when I went down for one of my brother's children's baptism in London a few weeks after I'd met him, to my mother's absolute horror, I took my money, which I'd carefully saved to go to Hong Kong, out of the bank and went and spent it all in liberties on material for my wedding dress and the pattern, and brought it back home because there was nothing like that in Inverness. And I was determined, well, I better make the most of this. I'm in London, so I might as well get my wedding dress organised. It was a beautiful satin, a sort of ivory-coloured satin. Yeah, it was very beautiful.
And you made it?
No, Mum actually got it made.
And women now might say this not enough.
I know.
Good man.
I know.
Was Callum a rose among thorns, or were there many great fellows?
No, anybody? No, not as far as I was concerned. I had one other love in my life.
It's when they came back, and this is really interesting, what really touched me, it touched us both. Because being in rather a dead parish, and my face was getting pretty flat, you know. And then our children came back, and they said, you know, you ought to be praying more. This is teenagers telling their parents what to do, you know. We say, oh yeah. Yes, and we ought to be fasting. Okay, give it a break. And they really meant it. And they've never lost that grace.
Yeah,
they've never lost that zeal in all that time.
They used to get fast on Wednesday and
incredible
Friday,
grace
and
they
then
were
have a
given,
huge
massive
fire
grace.
just after midnight, and you could smell it in the lodge. We were living in the lodge at that time, of eggs and bacon being cooked at about 12:30 at night.